And welcome to the fifth part of this video series where we are making a Dribble clone. Now in the previous video we made this text component and also made this editable. Now in this video we are going to make all the sidebar menus here, including image editor, video editor, text editor, and also gallery editor. So we are going to make all that toolbar over here. As you can see, we have first the main menu, then we have this text menu, we also have this image menu, and similarly we also have a gallery menu and also a video menu. So we are going to make all the sidebar menus in this video so that we can access them over here. So right now, as you can see, this does not taking whole width, okay, and for this to take whole width we need to add some more things in our tailwind.config.ts file, and that would be typography, then default, then CSS, and then max width of 100 viewport width. Okay, now let's see if this is working or not. Okay, so we have a problem. This is not taking full width, but okay, so this should be inside the extend. And now as you can see, this is taking full width, and also we have our CSS here as well. Okay, so everything is working now. So add this to your tailwind.config.ts file so that it can take whole width. Now we are going to close this, and I'm going to close all this one as well. Let's make one more, not here, upload components, and I'm going to make one more folder here, and this would be menu, and inside that we can write sidebar menu.tsx. okay, now since this sidebar menu is going to be opened and closed here, and for that purpose we are going to need a state, and that state is going to be used somewhere else in other components. So for that we are going to make a hook here instead of making a single state using use state over here. Okay, so I'm going to make a hook here, and we can name this use menu.ts, and then we can import usestand here. So create from usestand, and then we can first define the type. So we can write menu store. So first we are going to have is menu open, okay, and this will be type of boolean. Then we are going to have a function which we are going to call on open menu. So this will be an anonymous function that would return nothing, and this will take a value of type boolean. Okay, similarly we are going to have a on close menu, and then we are going to have on toggle menu, and this will have the same type. Okay, now we are going to define the store. So we can write export const use menu store is equals to create, pass the menu store, and then a function inside that. First is menu option will be false, then we are going to have on open menu, and this will make this to true. Okay, so I think we do not need any value here as well, and yeah, this will take the value. Sorry, my mistake, this will not take any kind of values here. This will just be an anonymous function. So we can remove this, and this will make the value true. Then we are going to have on close menu function. Okay, so we can write like same set is open to true, sorry, false. And lastly we are going to have on toggle menu. Okay, so this will just reverse the value, okay, whatever we are passing over here. So with that we are done with our use menu hook for now. We are going to add some more values here later. but for now this is enough, and we can remove this now. Add this a class name, and we can write it like this. Then add a fixed position top 0, width will be 335 pixels, write 0, z would be 50, and bg white, then shadow accel, h will be full, transition all, ease in, and duration will be of 200 milliseconds. And then we can check. Okay, so first we need to import that state here, import use menu store, and then we can destructure that use menu store is open value, is menu open, and we can check here is menu open is true or not. If this is true, we are going to do something, otherwise we are going to do something else. Now if this is false, we are going to make translate x of 400 pixels and opacity 0, 400 pixels. Otherwise we are going to make translate x 0, and let's write here menu for now. Now let's go to the upload component, and we can import that store here as well. Import menu store, use menu store, const use menu store, not here, use menu store, and here we can get is menu open and on toggle menu. Okay, let's go below, remove this css or classes, and now we are going to add transition all, is in, duration will be 200 milliseconds. Now we are going to check is open menu. If this is true, then we are going to do something. So we are going to first check for if this is false. So if this is false, we are going to make w full, otherwise we are going to make the width dynamic. Okay, so we are going to calculate the width here, calc 100% minus 400 pixels, and do not leave any spaces here. Okay, now we can add a button over here to test this out. On click, and inside that we can write toggle on toggle menu, and then pass is open menu, and here we can write menu. Okay, or just toggle. Okay, and also let's add the sidebar menu over here. Now let's save and let's test if this is working or not. So when I click on this, as you can see, the width of this upload component shrinks, and we have now our sidebar menu over here, and now we do not have our sidebar menu. Okay, so this is working, and now we can add our menus over here. Okay, so for that we need to do one more thing inside our hook. We are going to add some more. Okay, so now before adding some more things over here, I want to update this function. So on toggle menu, I can actually write it like this as well. So apart from set, we can also get. Okay, so let's get and write it like this. Okay, so now we can here get the value of open, and then we can, so we are getting the open value using get method, and then we are going to inverse that. Okay, so we can do that as well, and this is a much better way. Okay, now let's go above, and now we can actually remove this, and we can write simply like this. Okay, now here we are going to add some more things. So first will be the selected menu. Okay, and the types will be main. So either it can be a main menu, or it can be a text menu, or it can be image menu, or it can be a video menu, or it can be a gallery menu, or it can be a secondary menu for text. So we can write secondary text, and then we can also have secondary for gallery, okay, or it can be a null. Okay, now we are going to define the functions to set this state with those values. So we can write set selected menu. Okay, here it will take menu as a param, and this will be a type of, okay, and this will not return anything. Okay, so this will be a void function. And now since there is a repetition of the type, we can write type menu is equals to, let's make this in capital, and also let's export this, we might need somewhere, and we can copy this from here, and then we can write menu. Okay, similarly here menu. Okay, after that we are going to have get selected menu, and this will just give us the selected menu. So this will not take anything, and in return this will give us menu. And that's it for now. We are going to add some more thing later, but for now we can continue with this. Okay, so let's add selected menu, and initial value will be main. After that set selected value, and this will work like this. Okay, and after that get selected menu, and this will work like this. Okay, now let's save, close this, and we can go to the sidebar menu again, remove this, add a div. Okay, give this a class name, padding of 2, px of 10, empty 10, and inside that we can write one more div, give this a class name, and write it like this. Okay, so if the selected menu, let's first import that here, selected menu. So if the selected menu is equals to main, then the display will be block, otherwise it will be hidden. Okay, and then we can add py5. Inside this div add a button. Okay, and give this a class name of mb8 text sm. Inside that write close, then add a on click handler. Okay, and this will close our editor or menu. Okay, so we can import that on close menu, and we can just write on close menu. Okay, now after that below this button we are going to have a div, give this a class name of sidebar menu, and this will be just a private menu. Okay, just to identify this. Okay, and overflow auto. Inside this div make one more div, inside that add a h4 tag, give this a class name of text excel, font semi bold, mb8, and then we can write insert block. Okay, now after that below this we can add a div, then inside that we can add a span, give this a class name, let's close this. Okay, text sm, font semi bold, and then we can write basic. Okay, now below that add a div, give this a class name of empty5 and text sm. Okay, now inside this div make one more div, add a class name, and this will be flex item center, justify between, and hover bg neutral of 100, rounded lg, py2 and px1. Okay, now inside this div we are going to have a div, give this a class name of flex item center and space x3. Now inside this div we are going to have a span. Inside that we are going to have a svg, which you can copy that from my GitHub. Okay, so this will be our svg. Now below that span, make one more span, and inside that we can write text, and here we can give this a class name font medium. Now after this, below this div, make a span. Inside that we can add one more svg. Now let's save and let's see how this is looking. So let's refresh this, and okay, now as you can see we have a sidebar menu. The close button is too much below, so we can remove, I think, empty 10. Okay, so now this is good. So now this button is working. We have a button for adding text component. Okay, let's make this small, 18 and 18. Now this is good. Now one more thing, when we click on this div, on click, so we want to set the selected menu, which we can import here. Set selected menu, and this will be secondary text menu. Okay, we can collapse this, and below this div we can add one more div, give this a class name of empty3 and text sm, and then inside this div make one more div, give this a class name flex item center and justify between, and then we can add hover bg neutral of 100, rounded lg py2 and px1. Okay, now after that inside this div make one more div, give this a class name of flex item center justify between space x3, and then inside that we can add a span in which we are going to have our svg. Okay, now after that below this span we can add one more span and give this a class name of font medium, and then inside that we can add image. Okay, now similarly we can duplicate this, and now this will be a video, and then we can also change this svg. Okay, and now we have all the buttons. Let's go again here, and now we are going to have one more span, so we can copy this, add this here. We can write rich media, and then below that we can copy this, paste here. This will be gallery, and we can change the svg. Okay, so now let's save, and now we have our rich media. Actually this should be inside a div, so we can add a div over here, and then we can select this, move upside, and yeah, that's it. Now let's save, and also let's give this a margin top of 2, I think. Yeah, now that this is looking good. So now with this we are done with our main sidebar menu. Okay, so this is our main sidebar menu. Now we are going to make individual menus for each of these items here. Okay, so we can collapse this div, and then inside, and then below that we can add one more div and give this a class name, which will be if the selected menu is equals to image, then we are going to show block, otherwise we are going to have hidden as a display. And now inside this div we are going to have one more div. Okay, and let's click on this, I think nothing will happen. So we can go here and make the default to be image, since we are working on that. Okay, and now we should have a blank sidebar menu. Okay, now we can work on this. Okay, so actually we do not need this div right now, we need a button. Okay, so we can copy that button from here. Okay, so paste this here. Now below this button we are going to have a div. Okay, and inside that we can have one more div. Give this a class name of flex item center and then space x3 and mb8. Okay, now inside this div we are going to have a span, then the svg. Okay, and okay, this should be inside the span, and then we can write yeah, below this span we can have another span. Give this a class name of text excel and font semi bold. Inside that we can write image, and this should be looking like this. And here we can also write mt5. Okay, now this is good. And I think I have a padding over here. Yeah, the padding is px10 and it is coming from above, so there's nothing to be worried about. Now after that, below this div, make one more div. Inside that add a span, and this will be media, and give this a class name of font semi bold. And below that add a div, give this a class name of mt5, and inside that we are going to have other media. Okay, now we are going to make that here other media .tsx, and let's write tsrfc, and we can import that here. Okay, now let's go to the other media and start working on this. So inside the props we are going to have data, which will be a type of string or null or undefined. Okay, so this will be type of data that we are going to pass. Then type. Okay, and the type can be video, image, so these two will be the type. And apart from these two, we are also going to have one more prop here, but right now I'm only going to work on the JSX, not on the functionality of this component. This will be part of image and video component. So for now I'm going to work on this JSX part first, and the functionality will be added when I'm going to work on the video and image component. Okay, so inside this div we can add one more div. Give this a class name of p4 border of 1 pixels and border gray of 200. Okay, and then rounded lg. Now inside this div we can have one more div. Give this a class name of mb6, and then inside this div we can write data. Okay, so if we have the data, then we are going to show something, otherwise we are going to show something else. Okay, so here we can write a div, give this a class name. Okay, so let's add something here first, then we will be able to write something here. So give this a class name of py2 px3 bg white rounded lg text center border of 1 pixels mt4 and mb2 font semi bold text sm and text neutral of 800. And this div will be inside another div, so we can write a div and then we can wrap this around this div. Okay, after that we can write select media. Okay, Now below this div we are going to have a p tag. Give this a class name of text center, text sm, text neutral of 500 and 500, and here we can write or drop media to upload. Now after that we can go above, okay, and let's remove this, and here we are going to check if the type is equals to image. Okay, if this is equals to image we are going to do something, otherwise if the type, okay, let's destructure it first here, data and type. Okay, so if the type is equals to video, then we are going to do something, otherwise null. Okay, so this will be the syntax. Now inside this we have to write something, otherwise this will give like this error. So this will be the image tag and this will be the video tag. Okay, now here we are going to write data, and then in the alt value we can write selected image like this, and we can add a class name here, object cover and w of 52. Okay, similarly we can copy this from here, paste here, this will be data, and we can make this self closing tag. So now with this we are done with the rendering part. Now we can collapse this, and after that below this div make one more div, give this a class name flex item center, justify between and space x3 and empty2. Okay, after that add a label here, and this will be file input HTML4. Okay, give this a class name of relative cursor pointer. Now inside this label we are going to have a div, and then give this a class name of px6 py of 8 pixels, font medium and text of 14 pixels, and border of 1 pixels, rounded LG, hover of border, gray of 300. Now after that below this div add an input tag. Okay, type will be file. Now let's write it like this. So type will be file, and we are going to add a ID will be this, and we are going to add the ref later when we work on the functionality of this. Right now we can add just class name to be hidden, and accept will be if the type is image, then we are going to accept only images, otherwise we are going to accept video. Now below this label we can add a button here. Okay, give this a class name of px6 a py of 8 pixels, font medium, text 14 pixels, and border of 1 pixels, rounded LG, hover border, gray 300, and then here we can write remove. Lastly below this div we are going to have one more label. Okay, and this will be for drag and drop, so we can remove this HTML4, and just for reference we are going to add drag and drop, drag drop. Okay, now inside this we are going to have an input tag. We can just copy this from here. Now let's save and go back to the sidebar menu, and let's pass those props. So the data will be null. Okay, so we can pass null. Then type will be, let's say, image for now, and yeah, that's it. Now let's save, and as you can see we have the other component. We can change or remove and also select the media, or we can drag and drop the media. Okay, so that was all for the other component. Now let's close this, and now we can continue working on this. Now after this other media component, we can add one more div, give this a class name of empty7, and then inside this div we can add a label. Okay, now here we can write alt text and give this a class name of font medium. Now after that, below this label, add a div. Okay, give this a class name of empty3, and then inside this div we can add a span. Okay, now give this a class name of px3 py3 border 2 and rounded lg. Okay, now if focused, then we are going to add border pink 500. Now inside the span we can add an input tag, so add an input tag. Now the type will be text, and then we can add a class name here. Let's write it like this, and okay, let's close this one so that we can see whole screen. Now in the class name, the outline will be none, bg transparent, focus outline none, h of 40 pixels, and the text excel, placeholder text will be 14 pixels, break words and break normal, white space 3. Okay, after that add a placeholder here, so placeholder, and here we can write enter alt text. Okay, now let's save, and we should have alt text over here. And also let's do one thing, that if focused, then we are going to make border pink 500. Okay, so focus pink border, and also let's add border when we focus, so border of 2. Yeah, so I think I made a mistake. I can just cut this CSS from here and paste it here. Yeah, this is much better. And then remove this h4t. Let's remove this h4t. So, and also let's make this py2. So now this is good. Okay, we do not need this span. Okay, now after that, below this div, okay, we are going to have one more div and give this a class name of empty7. Okay, and now inside this we are going to have our layouts, so we can copy the label from here, paste here, and here we can write layout. Now below this label we are going to have a div, and then add a button here. Okay, so add a class name here of border, so we can write it like this, border of 2 pixels, rounded x-axis, py3 flex item center, justify center, and then inside this button we are going to have a span in which we are going to have our svg. Now we can duplicate this, okay, and change this to e, and everything will be same. Now let's save. Okay, and one more thing, that let's give this a class name of empty3 grid, and grid calls to. Okay, so now this is looking like this, and I think with that we are done with our image menu bar here. Okay, so now we can do similarly for video, so we can just duplicate this. Here we can write video, and then we can write video here as well. Okay, then media, all text, layout, and everything will be same. So if I go here inside the hook, and default value will be video, so I should see something like this: video, media, select media, and everything will be same. Okay, now after that we are going to work on the gallery menu. Now let's collapse this as well. So I'm going to collapse this one, then this one, and this one. So we have 3 menu ready. Now below this div, make one more div. Now this will be for the gallery, so we can just copy this and paste here. We can write gallery. Okay, we can add one more div. So actually I think we can copy that from here, and then okay, so we can just close this one, and paste here. Okay, so this will be the button for closing this, and let's go to the hook and change this to gallery. Okay, so now we are on the gallery. Now after that we can add that div, give this a class name of empty 10 p2, and inside this div make one more div, give this a class name of flex item center space x4 and text excel and font medium. And now inside this div we can add a span, and then add this svg. Now after that below this span we can add one more span, and here we can write gallery. Okay, now after this below this we can add h1 tag, give this a class name of my5 font medium rounded lg, and here we can write slides. Okay, so I think we can remove this empty 10, and we can make this 4 or maybe 5, and we can make this py2. Okay, so now they are aligned. Okay, we are going to have another list, and then li, and here we can write slide. Okay, now let's save and see how this is looking. So this is looking like this. Okay, so here we can add px2, and here we can also add px2, and on hover we can add bg gray of 50 rounded lg, and let's also add py of 6 pixels. Okay, yeah, so this should look like this, and we can also add text of I think 15 pixels. Yeah, now we can just duplicate this, and here we can write, okay, we can just leave it like this, and this will be good. Now we can change this my to empty5, and okay, and then we can add mb2. Okay, now we can remove this, add a span, write slide 1. Okay, let's remove this, and then we can add one more span, and here we can write chevron left, not left, this should be right, and the size will be of 14, and here we can write flex item center and justify between. Yeah, this should do it. Now let's duplicate this. Yeah, so this is how it's going to be look like when we have multiple slides in our gallery. Okay, and after that we are going to have the layout, so we can copy that from here. So where is the layout? It is here, so we can copy this and just below UL we can paste it here. Now let's save, and now we have our layout here. Okay, so px2 I think. Now this is aligned, this should be capital, and then we can add empty 6 here, and we can change this empty 7 to empty 4. And now this is looking much better. Okay, so with that we are done with our gallery menu. Now last menu that is left is text menu. Okay, so add a div here, and then we can copy this from here, edit here, and now this will be text menu. Okay, now let's go to this hook, and now we can change this to text. Okay, and now this is empty, and for closing this we can just copy this one and paste here. Now after this button we are going to have our toolbar component. So I think this one is the toolbar component, editor toolbar. So let's actually export this one. Okay, for now we can add editor toolbar from here, and now this will require some things here. So we can go here to I think to editor component, and we can copy this editor from here and paste here. So this will solve the problem, I think. Okay, so we have a problem. Okay, so we need to import all these things. So I can just copy this, paste here, and remove these things. Okay, and then I can just pass the editor here, and I can also check for if editor is null, then we are going to return null. Okay, now right now this editor won't work. Okay, actually let's go editor toolbar, and I think we need to do some changes here. We need to remove this one, and this one as well. Yeah, and also I think P4 we need to remove this, and we need to also remove this one. Yeah, okay, so now let's do some changes here. First, this close button is working, so that's good, and let's remove this border from here. So this is coming from text editor, inside editor component, inside editor toolbar. Okay, so I'm just going to remove this for now. Okay, and this should be font here instead of text, so we can write font, and we can remove this MD5 from here, and also MB10 to MD5, MD2 I think. Yeah, now this is looking good. Okay, so with this we have made all the menus here. Right now this text editor will not work, okay, since data I'm passing here and that I'm passing here are both different, so they both will not work. Okay, so with this we have made all the menus here. We have made let me go to the sidebar menu. We have made the gallery menu, text menu, image, main and video menu, and we have made all the major menus. There are still left secondary menus which I'm going to make with the components. And yeah, with this we are done with all the menus, and now we can access them everywhere.